Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another technical analysis video. Today we're taking a look at the Internet Computer Protocol, ICP, reviewing its price action and where I think the price action is heading next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome, subscribe, and stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Let's waste no more time. Let's jump right down into today's video. So here we have ICP paired up with USDT. We're on the one-day Binance chart. Now, in the last few technical analysis videos for ICP, we were actually looking at this in a really bearish way. We were looking for a potential move even deeper here for ICP. The most recent market developments, though, with Bitcoin reversing, with many altcoins reversing, we have seen very similar structures emerge for ICP. We see this really good run to the upside. Now, at the moment, we can see that we are finding resistance here on this white line coming through the chart. That's the 200-day exponential moving average. This 200 EMA is currently our resistance for ICP, but I don't think it's going to hold as resistance, and I do see us potentially getting a breakout above it. There are a couple of concerns I have with this, though. We do get a break above the 200-day EMA, which would typically be a very bullish sign, even if, specifically, I should say, if we get a closed position above the 200 EMA. However, the structure that's leading up towards us, towards this 200 EMA, is unfortunately looking like it's coming to an end. And so therefore, if we do close above the 200 EMA, I think it's going to be short-lived, a bit of a fake out before we actually retrace back down. Okay, so let me show you kind of what I was thinking before we had this run to the upside. We were looking at our 50 EMA, 50 SMA being resistance, which they were for only really a few hours before we got that breakout. Okay, we were tracking this as a big 5-wave move to the downside, like so. Okay, with the resistance coming in here. Now, invalidation or a break of this structure happens when we cross the wave 1 low. Okay, that would happen at $10.65. Okay, and as you can kind of see, yesterday we got up to $10.63.7. Okay, so any move above our kind of wave 1 low at $10.65 is going to break the idea of an impulsive break to the downside. Basically means that's not going to happen. Now, there are other scenarios which still allow you to have a 5-wave move, such as this, and they would call it a diagonal. Okay, so this would be a 5-wave diagonal pattern. Again, you hit the 1.618, the wave 4 is allowed to intersect with wave 1, but wave 4 is not allowed to go higher than the wave 2 peak. Okay, that being here $16.34. Okay, so be aware that there is still that idea of a bearish move, but breaking the impulsive breakdown is a pretty positive thing in my opinion, leading this to just being a zigzag that overextended its normal and typical range, which would have been between 1 and 123.6 of the first A wave. Okay, a lot of kind of technical jargon, you didn't really need to worry about it too much, but for the most part here, a breakout above this 200-day EMA does change things a little bit because it changes the way that we see this structural move to the downside. This move to the upside is interesting to me because it does also track a 5-wave move, which is why I think we're going to get a closed position above that 200-day EMA. The reason it'll be short-lived is when you complete a 5-wave move, you should expect a 3-wave correction. And then that is followed by an additional 5-wave move. If I can, let me try that again. We should see another 5-wave move to the upside. Okay, so that's when you get that next kind of break to the upside. So taking a look at our kind of short-term moves here, we will be looking for a rally for ICP, in my opinion. I say a rally, we use that term loosely in this scenario. Okay, where we target out the finishing structural points between $10.75 and $11.23. Okay, there's obviously a lot of things I've spoken about in today's video. If you want to know more details about Elliott Wave theory, there's some free resources down in our Discord server, so go ahead and check that out. The link for the Discord is in the description down below, and obviously on the channel page as well. So go ahead and check out our free Discord. There's some free resources to understand Elliott Wave theory. It's what Elliott-Wave theory does, and there's a lot of people that disagree with it, but what Elliott-Wave theory does is it tracks the behavior of the people who are buying and selling. Okay, it requires a highly liquid market. Okay, something like Bitcoin and Ethereum, it works well with the stock market. It will not work well with shit micro cap coins or shit coins or meme coins and things like that. It really doesn't work well with those. Okay, but it works well with anything that is highly liquid, where there's a lot of transactions and there's a lot of people buying and selling. Okay, and so for the case of ICP, it will track reasonably well, and we can see here we have a 5-wave move to the upside. Complete this structure out towards that kind of $10.75 to $11.23, and we'll be looking for a move to the downside. Okay, and that correction we can see as a previous area of resistance right in here. This is where I would be looking at the kind of first range of support to be found between $8.38 and $8.76, right? Now, in terms of where we would think that would normally kind of go, well, retracement to the downside here would typically go down to the 38.2%. It can come down lower, of course, but you can see a 38.2%, maybe even 50% coming down a little bit deeper. Again, you'll be then looking at the lower range here of support to be found right inside this low range, as you can see, around the 50% level. It can, of course, drop down even deeper towards the 786 or the 882. And again, I'll draw in a little yellow box area right here, and you can see that this is also an area of previous support where we didn't close lower than this range. Okay, so there's 3 kind of key areas here. One, I would like to see the 38.2% at $8.50 hold. If it doesn't, then we should be thinking about that next pit stop, which would be down here towards the $7.35 to $7.90. And should that fail to hold, then unfortunately we probably will be looking back at the $6.24 to $6.63, but I think that's a long shot in my opinion. Okay, so we have our kind of high range short-term targets. We then have our support levels on a retracement for a 3-wave correction, which we are hopeful that it only comes down to that first level before we rally back up again. Okay, so that's kind of your Elliott-Wave theory. You use support levels and resistance levels and all that kind of stuff. The targeted range is also a very interesting point of previous resistance, as you can see here, and is more than likely going to hold as resistance as well. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and throw some smart money concepts into the mix. Smart money concepts is showing us that we are still in bearish times. We can see right here we have a negative bearish change of characterization for ICP. Okay, this is a daily time frame change of character. Now we have a minor, as in we have these smaller change of characters on these smaller time frames, lower than the 1-day chart here, and these ones are bullish. Okay, so we know that we've seen some good runs to the upside, but they haven't yet changed the characterizations of what we're looking for when it comes to the daily chart. Now, the other thing that we have to bear in mind is our targeted range for an Elliott-Wave theory point of view, in that 5th wave movement. Not only is it resistance up here where we saw previously, but it also happens to fall in line right there with equilibrium. Equilibrium is an interesting range on the price chart. It depicts the 50% level between the discounted low range and the premium high range. Okay, so this equilibrium area is also the area of Elliott-Wave theory's target, along with the resistance level, and also is a 50% level between smart money concepts premium and discounted ranges. Ultimately, guys, this is where the resistance is kind of coming in and saying all these kind of different approaches to the market, whether that's your EMAs, your SMAs, whether that is your smart money concepts, your Elliott-Wave theories, your support resistances. They're all telling us that this range for that final 5th wave move to the upside, coming in there at the $10.75 to $11.23 is the most likely area for a reversal in the market, as in we're going to be looking for a bit of a drop to the downside. You can also see that there's these green areas here on the chart. These are fair value gaps, these two here, and this is the area of immense buying pressure. Okay, so 2 fair value gaps. We'll grab that first one pretty easily, I would have thought, and the second one is the lower range area of support, right? That $10.50 would completely fill out that fair value gap. Fair value gaps are basically showing you where there was in a price range where there was an illiquid market right in here. What we mean by that is there was a lot of buying pressure and not enough selling pressure here. Okay, that basically means that the buyers were able to take the price from the low range to the high range because no one or very limited amount of selling pressure was occurring inside this candle right here. This is what they call a fair value gap. Now, smart money concepts, the whole concept behind it is that price goes back to where the fair value gaps were, where these fair value gaps were created, where there was an illiquid market. The market likes to put liquidity. So basically, price goes up, leaves the gap behind, price comes down and puts liquidity where liquidity was missing previously. Okay, that's smart money concepts in a bit of a nutshell. Again, more details are found in our Discord server. So there you kind of have it, right? Smart money concepts, Elliott wave theory, kind of all telling you that things here are looking pretty decent. We've had a pretty decent run to the upside so far. We've seen an 83.05% move since the 5th of July. So really good, strong run to the upside, but I do think we're coming to an end. As we take a look at the stochastic RSIs, we're overbought on the daily time frame, but we're not yet going to move down just yet, in my opinion. If we take a look at the relative strength index, it's also incredibly high. Great run to the upside, but we can be looking at more runs to the upside before we actually start to move down. And if we take a look at the volume, and I bring the volume back in line with everything that's going on here, we can see that there has been a bit of an increase in volume as we've had this move to the upside, but volumes have started to come on down, but volumes are still lower than they were on the 5th of July. So price has gone up, but volumes have gone down, retrospective to where those peaks were. So for the most part, a very interesting time, I think, for ICP. We have some pretty interesting kind of price expectations for ICP in the kind of the medium and the longer term. I do expect us to be breaching that $16.39 in the near future, and I do think we're likely to break out of this bearish structure. A 5-wave reversal here is a good sign that we've actually ended with a local bottom down here at that $5.81. That's going to be the low for a while. I don't necessarily think it's going to hold for the long term because we do obviously see a lot going on with monetary policies over in the US. So expect a 5-wave move to the upside, and then maybe we'll a 3-wave kind of ABC structured move to the upside, and then of course, you know, further collapse to the downside before we get into the next big runs to the upside for ICP. All in all, though, I am pretty impressed with the price action so far. I do think we've got a lot further to go, though. So do watch out for more details as they kind of develop here. If you found today's video useful and informative, smash that like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. And if you haven't done so yet, you should probably go ahead and check out my TA channel just here, where we go through a few more details on other projects and other technical analysis of things you might be interested in. Why don't you go ahead and check it out?